Welcome to Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. If you don't know that by now. Rick Worthy, Kytano, Emotep on Stargate SG-1. Join me for a pre-recorded interview. I am AFK for 3 weeks, and I wanted to be able to continue to share with you guys while I'm gone, because everything that you guys have been helping me do with the show means so much. We have not had him on in like 350 episodes, and this is on me. I apologize. I'm not going to hold out on him any longer. Let's bring in Rick Worthy. Let's catch up with this amazing guy. Rick Worthy, Kytano, Emotep, Stargate SG-1. Sir, it is a crime that I have not had you back on before now. How are you? How is your world? The last time we were together was 2020 or 2021. How are you?
Man, first, thank you for having me back. I've so loved I love you, number one. I think you're just a wonderful person and really totally genuine and from the heart. And believe me, man, those are people I like to talk to, you know. And I remember that year, you know, I learned how to Zoom. I learned how to, you know, reach out to people, like, you know, like at some point you're like, okay, this is now my 90th Zoom, you know, and for you, add a 0 to that probably, I'm sure.
Oh, so, man, it was so funny to watch a whole legion of a certain people who do a certain kind of work all say, oh yeah, I'm not technically savvy at all. I can't push the power button on my computer, but do you know how to Zoom? Oh yeah, I've got that. Because they had no choice.
Exactly. You know,
it's
like
do or die.
It's literally do or die, you know. And I had an ex-girlfriend, she said, look, you got to learn how to do this stuff. You know, like you have to learn how to Zoom. You got to learn how to put yourself on tape. You got to be your own sound person, everything, you know, and get it down, you know. So I took her advice and went on Amazon and ordered all the stuff I needed. And you know, I like everyone, you know, I learned how to use the technology. So, yeah.
Can you go personal with me for a little bit?
Yeah.
We just had Mother's Day last weekend.
Yes.
Who's mom to you? Besides mom?
She's 20 feet away from here.
Yeah. And well, no, let's be careful what we say.
Yeah. I am, and I've said this in other interviews as well. I'm an actor because of her, you know, and when I was a kid, she fully encouraged me and my brother to be creative and taught us how to dance back in the early 70s. And I always tell people, like, we were moonwalking before Michael Jackson was. Yeah, and she entered. We were so young, man. We were like 5 years old, 6 years old. You know, when my mom made our costumes for us, taught us how to dance, made our costumes for us, and then she put us in talent shows at school, and we were winning. You know, we were winning these series of competitions, and I just remember, you know, she was determined to make sure that we were the best that we could be, you know, and I think that's always just stayed with me, you know, in terms of like any creative thing that I do, and really kind of like almost anything I do, I just want to just take it to the highest level that I can, and you know, don't do it until this. I mean, you don't show it to anyone until it's right, you know. So that's the sort of thing she put in me.
Wow. What is her creative source?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, she's not originally from Detroit, Motown, but that's how I know my mom, because that's where I was born, and my brother, and I grew up there. So, you know, we have the Motown influence of, you know, all these amazing groups, you know, and that legacy.
Man, Diana Ross, Temptations. I mean,
oh
gosh,
you know,
the list goes on and on.
It goes on and on, and you know, they were, you know, my mom and dad were high schoolers when, like, the Temptations were all around the same age, you know. and they were certainly influenced by them, you know, and all the other mini groups that a lot of people don't know about, you know.
Yeah,
So I think that's probably like probably a good source of inspiration for her, and maybe him too.
I got to be honest with you. My mother, who will be listening to this,
Oh,
was
mm,
she'll be the first to say that she was like, "Get a life, son. Go out and it's fine that you do this, but you can't do this for work." And she still doesn't understand it this day, but she supports me. And
right.
so hearing that, hearing
Yeah,
that your mother was, and so did mine in terms of creative endeavors, especially growing up. I just mean as an adult. So it is the
right.
same as far that, but having
Yeah,
parents who believe in you, it is so easy, Rick, to take that for granted.
yeah. Like,
And
yeah,
we need it more than we think that we do, because when
yeah,
it's gone, or we didn't have it to begin with, that's just sad.
exactly.
But for creative people who have that drip that they can't shut off, there is it's a double-edged sword. There are gifts there, and there is a lot of there can be depression. There can be aimless, rudderless wandering, trying to figure out what it is that you want. So to have a parent in your corner, it's important.
Yeah. Isn't dude? I mean, cheers to that because I totally 100% agree. You know, I mean, the neighborhood we grew up in is like, you know, all the kids wanted to be basketball stars, and you know, and I'm not hating on that, but I wasn't any good at sports. You know, like I stayed in my room and read Spider-Man and watched Star Trek. You know, and I knew that I was interested in science and superheroes and whatever was out there in outer space, you know, and Bruce Lee. And
Well,
like I was,
Bruce Lee is a class of his own. My
yeah,
goodness.
exactly. Yes.
Your
You know, like
Taekwondo
I was like,
background.
yeah, exactly. You know, he was like my superhero, you know, and so I knew that you know, like football and basketball and baseball and like all that stuff was great, but it wasn't what I like. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted to be do something else in another galaxy or something, man, and or you know, or crawl up the wall like Spider-Man, or you know, I wanted to be something different, and I think that she fully encouraged that creative spark. My dad was a little bit more cautious though. He,
Yeah.
you know, he was a little bit more like, you know, but
More pragmatic. You always got one of
yeah,
those if you don't have
yeah,
both of
exactly.
them.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
we've got I have a number of young ones who watch. Um in a world today now where we're saturated by all kinds of stuff.
Right.
What do you recommend for kids uh to really maintain their true north and orient themselves creatively?
Mm.
What do you suggest that they do to filter out the noise and go for something that they want rather than shrouding themselves in vagueness and not doing anything at all? Because it's so easy to
Right.
just coast. If they
Yeah.
have a creative spirit, if they have a drive
Yeah.
to turn something from nothing, what
Yeah.
do you suggest?
Yeah. That's an excellent question.
I mean,
And
you okay? Let me put it from your perspective here. Reading Spider-Man, watching Bruce Lee, watching Kirk and Spock.
yeah,
How did you find your way?
I think I just stayed true, man. Like
Okay.
I really I think I really knew that those are the kind of things that I loved, you know, and I didn't care if kids teased me, you know, and I was the kid who had really thick glasses, like the right. This is we're talking the early '70s, so the right eye was, which is my worst eye, but like the lens was like so thick, you know, and I was smart, and I liked Spider-Man
So you
and
were
Fantastic
intimidating.
Four.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I didn't sort of gel in, you know, with kind of what the other kids were doing, you know, generally speaking. And I like to draw, you know, I was just a creative kind of young kid, and I think that I just always stayed true to myself, it's kind of hard because you know the kids will tease you, and you just kind of you have to ignore them, you know, like you said, true north. Your true north is you following uh, your own path, you know, and not being afraid. Somebody once told me, this guy once told me, I'll never forget this. I was about 19, and it was like kind of my first big TV gig, which is like a local after school special, and that they aired in schools around Michigan. And I was horrible in it, but but I
Got to
was
start somewhere.
I was yeah, I was told that I showed a lot of promise. So and I'll never forget one of the Teamsters came up to me, he said, "Man, look, don't be afraid to do what you want to do, and if you have to drive a truck for a while, or if you have to deliver pizza, whatever it is, you know, to so that you can get there, don't be afraid to do it, you know." And I think that really hit me as well, because I think a lot of kids have that kind of pressure to you got to be you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a doctor, you got to, you know, you got to, nowadays it's, I
Support your
guess it's,
family.
yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, you got to bring home the bacon, as they say, and even though I'm a vegetarian, but you have
It's a
to,
metaphor.
right? You got to bring home the tofu.
That's it. The
Exactly,
tofu, the bacon shaped tofu.
the bacon
That's
shaped
funny.
tofu. Yeah, and that's the kind of, like you said, that's the society that we're in and live in, and it really hasn't changed. You know, like it seems like kids are under that pressure, you know, to hit it, you know, and to succeed, whatever that is. Especially for someone like myself, you know, who, you know, I don't come from generations of people who went to college, you know,
Yeah,
so, you know, and from the parents' point of view, of course, you can understand they don't want you to be hungry, you know, and they
that's
want you
right.
to,
They don't want to take care of you forever.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
I'm being facetious, but yeah.
yeah. So, yeah.
Um, so I guess what we're trying to say is listen to yourself and do what it is that makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and I think you're betraying yourself if you don't, you know. And I mean, it's wonderful now because I mean, speaking of technology, I was one of the last people in my sort of circle of friends to get, you know, the smartphone, you know,
Mm,
and I
congratulations.
yeah. You know, and I remember a friend of mine sitting me down. She's about 25 years younger than me. And she said, about 20 years younger than me. And she said, "Rick, you have to get on board with this technology because it is the future. And believe me, you're going to need it, you
That's
know."
tough.
And yeah, man, you know, and she taught me how to I got a BlackBerry, and then she signed me up with
Mm,
a Twitter account, and you know, and then Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And I think nowadays young people have this technology. They can create their own podcasts, you know, they can create their own content, they can make their own movies and stuff. We didn't have all that 30 years ago, you know, like it was like you got to have the right connections, you got to have the right money to get the technology. That everything is
right.
now so affordable, you know, that you know,
It's in the palm of their hands.
in the palm of their hands, you know, and
Now
those
the
people,
reverse is that you have to, poke your head out of it every now and then and see what's outside of
yeah,
it. So, but
yeah, exactly,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I in terms of trusting yourself and taking a chance on yourself, 2 weeks ago, I had no choice if I wanted to continue to do this channel but to set up a Patreon. And
Hmm.
500 people came out of the woodwork to support me.
Mm.
And now I'm able to do about 150% of the work I was doing before, all because I took a chance on myself to walk away from Ubering and to
Yes,
focus full time on what I loved and to be humble
yeah,
enough to ask for the help.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the not to make this all about me, but the overall message from the emails that I've gotten inside of the app has been, thank you for finally allowing us to help lift you up. And when you have a
yeah,
community that loves what you do and that supports you,
Yeah.
you ignore it at your peril. Its
Yeah.
full potential.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's man. I mean, dude. I mean, first, congratulations, and I'm so
I'm getting my
happy
head out
for
of
you.
my ass.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you're it's getting over that fear, you know, and it can be so, you know, I'm not going to say the word, but
Well,
it can be
why
so
should you pay, I pay for have someone pay me for something that I can do for free? And then it's
right.
like at a certain point, it's like how you at what point have do you, and I guess this is what gets back to like how we feel about ourselves as people, as creators, feel that you've
Right.
proven yourself enough to ask for that.
Right. Exactly. Man, this really, I mean, this is such a powerful conversation. And I think we were meant to talk today because for a number of reasons. One of them is I've been battling with jumping over this, you know, this abyss of fear because I can do a lot of things. I can stand in front of I can do Shakespeare in front of one person or 1,000 people. Doesn't matter. You know, I just see it as the same. You know, get up, perform. But there's one thing that terrifies me, and that is asking for help. You know, like I don't know why, and even my closest friends, they know that about me. They're like, "Dude, you can't always be the lone wolf. Sometimes you got to come out and ask for help." You know, and I said, I always say, I know. I don't know why I'm like that. You know, and
Exactly.
there's a certain strength to that, but it can also hurt you. And
It's vulnerable.
exactly, man. You know, like I've been working on this thing since this project I came up with since the lockdown. It was my pandemic project, if you will.
Hmm.
And I bust my ass on this all day long. And then I got in two other creatives to help me, and we started all working together, you know. And we have I think, a really wonderful concept for a fabulous TV show, and it's about espionage and sort of Jack Reacher, you know, Equalizer kind of stuff I love, you know. And
Are you
my
ready to pitch?
yes, and we presented it. And when I say we, I mean really, you know, really me. You know, like I presented it to maybe four people
Yeah.
who I know have the power to get it off the ground. And uh, it all really sort of kind of came down to we know you. We respect your work. We know who you are. This one management company in LA is pretty big. You know, they won Emmys and stuff.
Mhm.
I just happened to know a friend who knew someone who could get me in front of them. So they looked at it and then they called me and said, "We really think it's really cool. We love your work." Particularly, they knew me from, I think, The Man in the High Castle. And
Ah.
yeah, man, yeah. And I said thank you, you know. And they said, you're
Oh, there's a but.
but yeah, you're not. And these were their words. And it hurt like hell, but I get what they were saying. But you're not um, uh, you're not an A-lister.
Oh,
That's
go
what
to
they said.
hell.
Yeah. So I said okay, and
I'm
uh,
sorry. I apologize.
yeah.
That was rude.
And I said, yeah, well, thank you, man. And I said, okay. And when you hear that, it's kind of like someone just kind of went kaboom, you know. And man, I kind of dragged my head around LA for a week, you know, and then I said, okay, enough of the sadness. Now what do I do? Okay,
Rally.
yeah, you know, we'll raise some money and freaking do it ourselves,
That's
you
right.
know, as an indie film, you know, and so that's kind of where we're at. And my fear is
I see. I
asking for the
see.
money, you know.
I am here for this. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's spy, thriller, sci-fi, comedy.
Yeah.
I my audience is here to support you,
Oh,
and
thanks.
when you're ready, you give the word.
Hey, man.
Um,
Dude,
it may be a
yeah.
dollar, but
Yeah. Yeah. I
uh,
appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And looking back, been doing a lot of Star Trek rewatches, and it's a lot of spot Rick Worthy. Um, I seriously think you need to sue Seth MacFarlane for 3947 and Isaac. I seriously think that there's a. Have you
Yeah.
watched the Orville? I mean, I think he's seen the trailer. Something tells me,
I
because
actually, you know what? I have not, but
they're
there's, I know that
identical.
there's discussion out. Yeah, I know that there's discussion out there. I know that.
I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I'm kidding. What I'm doing is I'm wanting to set this up because um it was a pretty straightforward episode of Voyager, and we've never really talked about 3947 other than just kind of in passing, but uh we can't see your face, and
Yeah.
that character has so much soul with B'Elanna in a couple of those scenes.
Yeah.
I think he's in engineering, and she's
Yeah.
saying, I can't help you, but here's what I'm gonna this and this for you, and we're gonna go back to your ship. And he just goes, "Thank you," And there's this lingering shot on him. It's like there's nothing else that can be done. Um, I love that character,
Oh
and I'm
man,
really
thanks.
sorry that we never saw him again. But
Thanks, man.
what a
I appreciate
one-off!
it.
Holy cow!
It was
How
so
did you
cool. I mean, it
breathe?
was. I don't know. Like like you're thinking a lot of things. You're like, it's Star Trek.
Yeah,
I have to knock it out of the park every freaking take.
yeah.
But you get on set and you hope that everyone's going to be cool, which they were. Roxanne,
Oh,
um,
I've heard she's great.
Jonathan. Oh, she's wonderful.
Frakes
And
directed,
wonderful
I
director.
think.
Frakes
Yeah,
directed it, and
yeah.
I auditioned for him, and
Ah,
I just remember during the audition, and the Junie Laurie Johnson, cast and director,
uh-huh.
lovely lady, and her team, they were all there, and then Jonathan's just kind of sitting there watching me, and he's looking at my resume. He's like, "Okay, oh, okay, Chicago, okay, Chicago theater, good, okay, all right. You got any questions? No. All right, let's do it." And as I'm doing the audition, I just kind of see he's kind of smiling,
He
and
has a
that wonderful
glint.
smile. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, and he hired me to do this role, and I thought it was so freaking wonderful, and what a cool character. He's a
hmm
he's a you look at the episode, you're like, okay, it's a guy in a mannequin outfit.
it's the ultimate mask work.
It's the ultimate. But and I said, I'll do anything, man. I could. It was difficult to breathe. It was difficult to see because they only had little slits in the mask. So I would take the mask. Jonathan said, take off the mask and then practice where you're going to land on your mark, and then on action before you go to camera, just put the mask back on. So that's how we did it. Yeah, and I love all that stuff. Let's do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was you have to express the character without seeing the actor's face, and that my challenge was to do it all physically and with my voice that I used for the automated personnel unit 3947.
That's right. What do I call you? Can I call you
Yeah,
39? I am Automated Personnel
yeah,
Unit
yeah,
3947. Okay,
3947.
fine.
Yeah,
Jeez.
exactly, exactly.
Don't send me
Yeah.
flowers just yet. Um, which of your Star Trek characters do you think back a lot on?
Probably, I did a video game that didn't really do well, and I believe it was called the Klingon Warrior. I believe is what it was
Okay.
called, and they shot it live action, like a single episode. And LeVar Burton, no, sorry, Jonathan directed it. I remember that.
I've the CD, the point and click, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are
Yeah.
you in that? I've played that. I played that 4 or 5 times.
Dude, I'm one of the young sort of badass Klingon guys. You know,
Okay,
he's in there, and he's part of the crew.
dude, I
But
loved that.
it was so cool. You know, I don't know. You can probably maybe even still buy it today some kind of way. But
Yeah.
I just remember we had to learn to sing the Klingon warrior anthem.
Koi
Yeah.
keles kuglo. Dude.
Boy, poop, may poo. Yak mal, say shuvi, say mokshu, may you. Yeah.
I can't say it, but yeah.
You got
No,
it.
that
You
was
got it.
so
No, that's
good.
it. I mean,
Have you
that's
played it?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it was good.
It was, you know, it's one of those things you're like, I can't freaking wait to sit down and play this game, you know. But I don't think it did well. I mean, nowadays the technology is that's more advanced, but
Was
I don't
nothing
think it
really
did that.
like it. Yeah, they did another one
Yeah.
with the Borg, and I can't imagine what that was like because it's mostly continuous takes. Talk about memorization, recitation, hit your mark.
Right.
And the camera is a person. So I
Right.
mean, having like if he has hands, here's the camera, like he's doing, you know, he's got to have
Yeah.
hands, and you know you have to look at it's a completely different approach. Frakes had probably have to have a lot of patience.
I think it would, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think the cool thing about him is that he always sort of keeps it light, you know,
Okay.
like we may have a shit ton of stuff to do, and he'll make a little joke, and everyone sort of loosens up, and I love that. I love when someone can do that. A director can do that. Because I've worked with other directors, and like you can tell they're feeling the stress, you know. And but Jonathan's more like, okay, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Lean on the people
We'll
who are
figure it out.
around you. Yeah, and he brought it
Yeah.
back for insurrection, and you know when you have someone who you know you can count on to do the work, don't fix what isn't broken. You know, there's
Exactly. I mean, that's totally something that I love so much. Like you know, someone can do the work. You know, they're good to work with. You know, call them. And Jonathan's like that a lot. You know, like I worked with him on the video game, and then Insurrection, and then the episode that with Balana. You know, 3947 in Balana, and and then I ran into him, man. I ran into Jonathan at Dragon Con like 8 years ago or something. 1,000 people standing in line. You know, not 1,000, but many.
a lot.
A lot of people standing in line exactly to meet Jonathan Frakes, and he sees me, you know, I kind of just get in his eye line, and he goes like this, "Come on over," you know, and he just took the time to get up and hug me, and he said, "Man, it's so good to see you," you know, and we talked for 5 minutes, man, you know,
Yeah,
like I
which
was
is a
just
lot
like,
there.
okay,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
got people waiting. Yeah.
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 They can wait. I want to say hi to my friend.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me over this. The best single season of Star Trek is the Xindi arc.
Mm.
You were an arboreal named Jannar, and you were a part of a race that was gunning for Earth, had already wiped out 7 million of us. And I mean, you spent half a year in fur. Tell us about that year. Tell us about that character.
I don't think anyone's ever said that. I love that.
Steer clear of the water.
Exactly. Oh man, that job literally came at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, like a brother needed a job and a
Yeah.
good one. And
Yeah.
man, the universe delivered, man. God came through. I
Yeah.
remember I was standing at a friend's place. I often have um, uh, just sort of trusted that things would work out, but
Hmm.
man, it was just a rough, tough year, and then, dude, I get a call from my agent, Donna Assetti, and who's still my agent today, and she said, so I think I have a really great role in Star Trek Enterprise, and it's a recurring, and we're just going to try to close the deal, like just do it, and see what they say without me having to read for it. And I said, I'm standing by.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and yeah, man. And because she says everybody knows you, so we're going to just try to get them to make a direct offer. And they did. They came through. And
Wow.
but I didn't know how many episodes. And she said, I think it's going to be at least 4. I said, great. It ended up becoming like what,
7 or 8.
6, 7,
Yeah.
7 or 8?
Yeah,
Yeah.
up there with
And,
Randy Oglesby,
yeah,
whom
exactly. I
I
love
think
him.
is amazing actor.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, I can't picture anyone else but him playing that role.
Oh,
He
they
was
killed
that
him, and
good.
I was upset.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what a
Yeah. I
meet!
mean,
I mean, it's
he-
like they're like
yeah.
Shakespeare. I mean, they're all stabbing each other in the back, and there's infighting and schisms, and
Yeah.
what a high
Exactly.
concept, even for Star Trek.
Yeah. I mean, Star Trek it'll all, man, dude, it'll be here always. That's how important it is to our culture and to many people around the world. I've done
Hmm.
conventions in Prague and different places, and they love Stargate, they love Star Trek, and Battlestar Galactica.
That's right.
Those are and then some of them love Farscape, and but those are typically the top 3, you
Mm.
know, and people love those shows, man. And I love it. I'm like, hey, I may never get the Emmy award that I've always wanted. Maybe I will, but I can say that I'm blessed to be part of some wonderful, top tier, wonderful sci-fi and fantasy.
Something
And
that makes people
that's a,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and dude, I mean, you know, that's what we need. I think probably especially now, not to go off into politics or anything, but
Yeah.
I need to escape,
Hmm.
and I will turn on the TV and watch something that will take me somewhere else. Yeah. Then I'll
I
watch the
was
news later.
well, sure. Yeah. I was so thrilled. I was not in love with the plan, but I was so thrilled that you finally had some meat again for the first time since season 2 with Simon. I mean, if I'm putting
Right.
all cards out on the table and being honest, um,
Right.
the Eddie Olmos, I can't imagine what's it like being directed by that guy.
Uh, it's yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's intimidating. It's but you're like because like when I think of Eddie Olmos, Edward James Olmos, the first thing I think of is Miami Vice.
Ah,
And like he just the way he would deliver his line, like he would just kind of be looking away from the actor and just kind of looking down like this, and you're like, shit. Whatever he says, they're going to do it. So,
that's right.
so and he brought that weight, which was so beautiful, and honest, to Miami Vice, and the gravity of what was going on back in the '80s, um, he in Miami, and he uh, really, you discover that he's kind of everybody's dad on the show, and if you can always come, he may be busy getting ready to do God knows what, or God knows go where in the world the following day. But he'll always took the time to stop and say hello, good morning. How's your dog buddy doing? Like he did that,
Yeah.
and I think that says a lot about him.
We talked about your lab very little.
Mhm.
Sorry I never got to meet him. Came close in Vancouver, but
Yes,
can you tell me about
yes.
him?
Oh man, he was like, dude, he was
I
like
know
my
how important he
little.
was to you.
Oh yeah, man. He was like my little. He was my furry child. I always say we were like a vaudeville act, like like
Really?
yeah, like we would, like we knew how to make people smile, especially him, I think the cool thing about being in Vancouver was that it's so dog friendly there, and I was able to take him
Yes.
with me, and walk with him in the hotel at the Sutton Hotel, and
Yeah.
we would
Sudden.
just sit down in the lobby, and I didn't even have to put the leash on him, and people and everyone knew who he was, and I was happy I was able to provide that life for him, and he met the entire cast of Battlestar Galactica,
Wow.
Edward, Trisha, everybody met Buddy, and he enjoyed being around, being on set, hanging out with Dad, but also just kind of just being around everybody, and he was just a cool little guy, and I miss him all the time, and he's appeared in my dreams, and
Oh boy, I
I
know
believe you.
that.
I was gonna say I believe you had a Labrador as well, or was it?
I grew up with a standard poodle when I
Oh
was little, and then
yeah.
in my teens I had a German Shepherd, and then
Oh,
in my adulthood I've had a couple of Dachshunds.
nice.
But my folks had a Schnauzer poodle that was smart as any 4-year-old. Um,
Right.
they it's hard to articulate this to people who don't have animals. They don't
Yeah.
get it. They're like, why are they talking about a quadruped? It's like, this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not going to get a seat at your table, but there
Yeah.
there there's a there, and
Yeah,
it's
man.
talking back to you if you know how to listen. Um,
For sure.
and your life is fuller because of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, as much as it pains me when I lost them, um, as much as I still feel it, I wouldn't take the experience back at all.
No.
So, because I am
Yeah.
fuller because of them.
A- Absolutely, man. And I just love dogs, I've dated a couple of times ladies who they weren't into dogs, and those
Yeah,
relationships didn't last too long. So,
yeah, yeah.
but like I'm like he and I, Buddy and I, we come as a team. So, and
That's right. Love my
you
dog.
gotta you gotta you gotta love us both. Yeah, exactly. The when I turned 40, I was going to go to Japan because I've always wanted to go, but
Yeah,
I kept thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to get a dog. That's what I'm going to do, and make this really change my whole life,
hmm.
and
They
uh,
need you.
yeah, man. And I'm so
You can't
glad I
just leave them
didn't.
at home like a cat.
No, you can't. I mean, I remember I had a friend. He said, that it's an enormous responsibility, and I said, hey, I'm up for it. What I can meet the challenge. And he really, like you said, they change your life, and man, he changed my life. In fact, made it better because I had so much more structure, and someone was counting on me,
That's right.
and you know
That's
what
a
I mean.
big
And
chunk of it, Rick.
oh,
Yeah,
dude, yeah, yeah. So, and I like, hey, you know what? I'll go hang out with the guys tonight, but not too late because I want to get back and take my dog
someone's
out for a
waiting
nice
on
walk.
me. That's
Someone
right.
waiting on me,
That's right. I
Yeah.
uh I have a real problem with people who go on social media. Yeah, we lost Sprocket yesterday, but here's Spritz. Everybody, look at
Oh,
Spritz. Um,
yeah, man.
that
I'm,
bothers me like I can't describe.
yep.
I have always, and this is just personal preference, and not to wallow in sorrow or anything, but
Right.
mourn the loss of
Yeah.
your pet before you're not getting a new car.
Exactly.
On that note,
Yep.
how long will you ever get another dog? The reverse of that.
Yeah. First of all, I
Because
totally agree with
honestly, I'm
you.
surprised. I'm honest. Every time I get in touch with you, as much as you talk about him, I'm like, sooner or
Yeah.
later, he's going to be like,
Sooner or later.
well, you knucklehead, open your heart up again to the possibility.
Yes.
So this may be a PSA for Rick Worthy. It may not be, but I'm curious.
Well, I mean, first of all, I totally agree with you. I'm just like you in that regard, because when he died, it broke me in two.
Yeah. How old was he?
He was almost 13.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was born January 15th, which is the same day that Martin Luther King was born. And
Yeah.
I always say that Buddy was had that same spirit like Martin Luther King, because wherever he went, he just made instant friends. Everybody loved him. Like he was just a very peaceful sweetheart of a creature, of an animal.
Labs are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
let you walk all over them. Yeah.
Yeah. And when he passed, he died in Vancouver right towards the end of our season 5 of Magicians, and like 3 months before his birthday, would have been his 13th birthday, and then the whole world changed with the pandemic. So
you had a bad year.
And I posted on Instagram, Buddy's gone, and love my life, and I'll miss him forever. And then people kept saying, when are you going to get a new dog? And I was like,
I hate that. I hate that. This is not a set of tires.
Dude, exactly. And I just kind of tuned everybody out, and just kind of, like you said, took the time to mourn. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, there's so many dogs out there that need homes and need someone to care for them, and so we'll see what happens, man. Because I didn't adopt Buddy, but I always say that, like, this next, because I really wanted a Labrador, and I wanted a chocolate one, and but I
was
think,
he a chocolate lab?
He was a chocolate Labrador Retriever, yeah. English Lab, so he was a little shorter, a little bit stockier.
Okay.
And swim his ass off. He was just like natural. Like you see him out, man. You see him out in the water in Long Beach, at the Long Beach Dog Beach. It's called Rosie's Dog Beach, and he would go so far out. I'd be like, buddy, come back. And but that was his happy place, and that was his Toys R Us. That was his Disneyland. But if I get another one, I've decided I would adopt. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's how we lost Indy. My standard poodle swam out too far and he drowned. He had a heart attack and sank.
Man,
my dad had to go out there and feel for him with his feet.
Oh,
I was 8.
Oh,
he loved his ball that much. And when we laid him to rest, and we did lay him to rest, the neighborhood came out and we had a funeral.
Wow.
For Indy.
Oh man. Oh man.
Small communities get it. And tight groups of people, they get it.
They get it.
Dad buried him with with his tennis ball in his mouth.
Did you name him? That's beautiful, man. And wow, I can feel that. It's heartbreaking.
Dad's an Indianapolis 500 fan, so Indy.
Okay.
Was,
Indy.
Yeah. That's smart as a whip. So.
Of course.
But don't get an animal if you're not going to, folks. If you're not going to commit to one, because that's the thing. You're all in or you're not. Don't lock them up in a cage all day long.
Exactly, man. Like you have to. I mean, like Buddy was like my road dog. Like we would go, even if I was just running an errand to Kinko's or something, I'd be like, let's go, babe. He knew exactly how to get in the car, and we would just go. And people like people like would say, "Aren't you the guy with the dachshund or the dog?" Or like, "Aren't you the guy with that
Right?
Labrador?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
That's it.
Like people begin to identify you by your furry baby and not
Oh,
you.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My dachshund would be on my lap and I had my windows down getting ready to turn on a road and the guy in his big F-150 would drive by next to me and say, "Nice wiener." Like, hey, So it's they liven life in ways that we can any kid who isn't raised with a dog, I feel bad for them. But yeah, Rick, what's going on for you next? Is it
Yeah.
are you focusing on this pitch? Is this your thing? Is there anything else we need to be on the lookout for? Where can we be seeing you?
Well, I did a last year was a very interesting year. I think the whole industry is sort of we're I think we're still kind of recovering. And someone said this, man, and I totally agree. I want to ask you how you feel about it. So we had a pandemic in 2020. Almost, I'll just go ahead and say it, almost bankrupted me.
Okay.
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 Then, thank God we were able to get back to work, and I started working here and there. I did a few episodes of Gossip Girl and,
Mm,
new dad and another dad on Station 19 and,
mm.
and then uh, last year I did a mini series in 2022 called Washington Black, which is on Disney Plus. It's just 8 episodes, but it's beautiful historical um, uh, fiction about a young child who's a slave in Barbados, and then he escapes to Canada on this flying steampunk boat. And it's Sterling K. Brown produced it, and
Oh,
Solomon, yeah, yeah, and he actually he's one of the stars in it as well. And I had a really nice, 4 episode role, and I said, okay, now I just need more years like this because it was a good job.
mm.
It's paying the bills, and then we went on strike.
I know.
And the strike, and I was to this day, I do not regret the 8.5 month strike because when the writers went on strike, we went on strike too, and we supported our sister union
Hmm.
100%. So, but um,
Repercussions.
it had its repercussions, and it got really, really, really hard, man. You know.
I am on record on this account saying uh, this is going to cut the industry in half in
Mm.
terms of the number of productions that are going to be created. My best friend is the film buyer for a theater chain based out of Phoenix. They're in 4 states called Harkins. And
I know Harkins. Yeah, they're wonderful
best
theaters
popcorn in the nation for
in the
movies.
nation. Yes,
I
yes,
told him, Zach,
yeah.
I'm going out next week, and I looked at the slate because obviously we're going to go and get a free movie. And
Hmm.
I said, every third film to every other film on this list is a re-release. And he
Mm,
said, David, they're not making movies anymore.
mm,
It's like they're phoning it in to put out just enough. And
right.
comedies go straight to streaming. They don't get a theatrical run anymore at all. And that is criminal. I don't
Okay,
know how you unring that bell.
I mean there's a whole. I mean, we can talk about this for hours because it's so, it's affecting everything, man. Everything's changed, and um, after the strike, I'll just say a couple of things. After the strike,
Sure.
and I'm like, look, we have to put guardrails around AI. Otherwise, I'm out of a job, and the next generation of actors, they're out of jobs too. I know of one person in particular. I don't know this person personally. I did not know her, but she, I believe, was from Boston, and young person, she died. I don't know the cause of death, but her parents heard her on the radio one morning in a commercial, and they were like, "What- did Did she do a commercial? No, she didn't. It was an AI generated voice that copied her voice. And without her parents' consent, someone, advertising company or somebody, used this young artist's voice and made it for a commercial. And man, her parents were pissed off. So I see that as this is it's either the beginning of Terminator or the end of everything, or we have to find a way to protect ourselves from it. Because I am not down with people who call themselves AI filmmakers. I think the technology
Okay.
can be used to help to create certain things. But I'm not down with it making a replica of me or you or anyone, Chris, Judge, anyone, Terrell, anyone, because I'm sorry, that's just not, the algorithm, as smart as it is, doesn't have a soul. That's how I feel about it. And if you want to hire an actor, hire a real human being.
No,
You know,
it's absolutely for someone like you. I mean, so much of your bread and butter is on your voice, and you and I have talked about this. Like that's like, I think you could just be a purely voice actor if you wanted to. But how where do you see this let me back up. Rick, how do you legislate at the speed that we need to for this? I
dude, I
think
don't
that
know.
that's the real trick.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, how do we? I mean, it's going so fast, that I feel like we're trying to jump on all the creatives in the world are trying to jump on this fast moving train,
That's
which
right.
will either be a train wreck, or we'll get on board and drive it, and help steer it, because it's here. We can't get we
Oh,
can't
I know.
we can't pretend that it's not here. It's here. We just have to figure out how we can best use it so that it can serve us creatively. And hey, look, if George Lucas and all the young George Lucases of the world, soon to be George Lucas, whatever, whoever they are, Spielberg's, if they want to use it to create a vast desert landscape, fantastic. If you want to create a scene where someone's traveling into another galaxy, and help
Hmm.
the technology create that, wonderful. But please don't replace us. Like
Yeah.
I felt like that was going to be sort of of the end of everything. When I realized like how dangerous this is and how powerful the
That's
technology
the
is.
thing. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
My name is David Reed, and I'm talking with my friend Rick Worthy. My name is David Reed, and I'm talking with my friend Rick Worthy.
Wow.
It'll even re-enunciate if I wanted to. My name is David Reed.
And
I'm talking with my friend Rick Worthy.
dude, I
My
cannot
name is
even.
David Reed, and I'm talking with my friend Rick Worthy.
Wow.
It just spits them out like cookies.
I'm terrified, bro.
There's no artifice to that. At this stage, the only thing that you
Right.
have to mind your P's and Q's on is making sure that it pronounces weird words correctly, that you listen
Right.
for it. Otherwise,
Right.
it's there. I was like, my voice can't be one of those voices. And then, as it turns out, your voice is one of those voices, David. Yeah,
So you wrote it out. I don't have my reading glasses on, but you
yeah,
wrote it out and then
yeah.
it said it.
That's right.
Man, that's freaking scary, bro.
I know.
Like
And your
here's
voice
how
is so iconic. I'm thrilled to be having this discussion with you because
um,
you have a gift that uh, transcends the physical. That, I mean, on one hand, to go with the James Earl Jones route, I'm glad the technology exists because he will never die. And he put
right.
guardrails in place, and Disney purchased it so that he can do that. And they're not putting it into a text prompt. Another voice actor is voicing it, and they're layering him on top. So,
Okay.
so
So
he will
so
always
when
live
we
on that way.
will always live on, right? Uh,
That's right.
I mean, that's I mean, that's it's fascinating as hell
Right.
that you can do something. The technology is there to do something like that. Um, and but at the same time, I'm thinking like, man, I hope that doesn't put me out of a job, man, because I mean, like I have always said, that one of the things I would love to do before I leave this third rock, this beautiful planet, I would love to be the guy that says this is CNN headline news.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, and it's 5 words, and wait, this is CNN headline news. And
Yeah.
but if you can do that, then they can capture probably my face, my mannerisms and such, and it's for sure controversial, but it's here, man.
That's
It's
it.
definitely here.
It
It
can be
is
used as a
here.
tool or as a weapon. And I don't think that you can dispel a gathering storm, but
Yeah,
I think that you can shelter yourself as best you can, and you can educate people about how to shelter themselves.
right.
And the thing that scares me, I think, the most are the people who blind themselves to the technology and who are like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with it. It's not happening. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. So you're going to be subsumed
Right.
by it in some way or another." So, given that approach, what are you going to do to roll with that punch? You're going to get hit. So the industry
Yeah,
will. Rachel Luttrell and I have talked about this. It's at some point a software will come, or like someone like Apple for iTunes will come along and offer an alternative to the torrenting, where you can buy a song for 99 cents. Well, we want them to buy an album. You can buy the whole album. You don't have to buy the whole album. Well, we want them to. Well, no, that's not the world you live in anymore. Get over
right,
it.
right.
The world you're going to live in is where Rick Worthy is going to have an option to sign himself with a company, or a couple of companies out there that will license his voice, and he permits his voice to be used for X, Y, or Z on X, Y, or Z, and he will get a passive income stream for it, so that if someone uses it in YouTube, he will get $1 for 100 views, and if it goes to 1 million views, he gets $10,000. It will scale with you.
Hmm.
Or the alternative is that they can go on pirate websites and copy Rick Worthy's voice and do it all illegitimately on backwater websites, and he'll never know anything about it. The
Probably both.
piracy hasn't gone away, and there are
Yeah.
reports that you want to know something's really. Let me know if you have to go, Rick. Project Hail
No,
Mary
no, I'm good.
just is coming out. Came out on Tuesday. Last
Yeah.
Saturday, it was already available in full resolution on pirate websites. It's like they know what's going on. They track that data and they use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is an amazing frontier, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. Great movie, by the way. I've seen it twice.
Oh, so good.
So good. Yeah. Rocky.
Oh man, amaze,
Um,
amaze, amaze.
amaze, amaze, amaze. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film, and the discussion about this is every day ongoing. Um, and yeah, I think I know that we still have to. I mean, I just got an email from SAG this morning or yesterday. The new TV theatrical contract has been approved. We just have to vote on it now. But the union wants us to vote overwhelmingly yes. So we're not going to strike again. But
Okay.
yeah. So those 8.5 months out there in the blazing sun. And I started striking in New York, and then I came to LA, and I was out there striking in LA, and and uh, I hope that it has helped to put safeguards around the technology. You know And I mean, dude, I use talk about AI. I use the automated Waymo cars.
Mm.
Um, and
What is that like? I don't know if I could get
it's
into it if I couldn't break the glass.
I think it's. I mean, I hear you. I totally hear you. I think it's fun. It's more affordable than Uber because you don't have to tip.
Wow.
You just have to give them a good rating, and the prices are also typically a bit lower than Uber and or Lyft. And but at the same time, that's also putting people out of work as well. You know, and like Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, rideshare drivers are now competing with essentially an AI-driven car, and
It was just a question of when.
just a
Yeah,
question of when, man.
I was with Joseph Malazzi in L.A. and there was a huge kerfuffle. A
Yeah,
Waymo was stuck in the middle of a substreet, and
yeah,
it was backed up for 80 yards. It couldn't there's nothing you can do.
yeah,
He just
yeah,
abandoned the car, and the gal was outside of who had been in it. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It freaked out because
Mhm.
there was parking on
Yeah.
both sides, and it was one way, and it didn't know what to do. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah. Oh, we
Rick,
got a long way to go. Yeah.
you are a national treasure, my friend.
Oh man.
Uh, Many
You.
blessings.
Thank you,
Um,
David.
I
Always good to see you.
your voicemails, the messages that you leave me, you are one of the few that I consider a friend after the interview ends.
Oh
I
man.
say that to people on here a lot. It's more, just it's a reflex. Um, I care about you very much, and
Likewise.
again, I'm sorry that we haven't I'm glad that we've been continuing to connect, but I'm really glad
Yeah,
that I get to come on and record it for a little while
man.
because you mean a lot to
Dude,
me, and I'm just thrilled to have you in my orbit.
I mean, dude, I appreciate you, and dude, I feel the same way about you, and I thank you for everything you said, man. I've met a lot of people either in person or virtually, or and you and I have done both now,
Yeah,
you're truly one of the good guys in this world, man. And I what I hate is that we haven't sat down together and had coffee or something. So, but we will do that.
we
I
will.
promise you,
I'll
man.
be out in LA
Yeah,
pretty soon here.
yeah,
So my
yeah,
godson's out
yeah.
there. I got to go and drive the rascal nuts. So, but you
Cool.
take care of your mother.
Definitely will.
Tell her
Yeah.
a friend says hello. And
I
thanks
definitely
again for your
will,
time.
man. Thank you, bro. Take care. God bless you, and take care of yourself. And we're going to see each other this year for sure. I promise you. We're going to go to Jersey Mike's, do something, man.
Oh, they're
Or
so
sushi or whatever.
expensive now. They're so expensive. It's like
I know. I'm
30
like,
bucks a sub and
I
chips
know.
and
Like it's
drink.
10, yeah, exactly. Like I just want the bigger size. Okay, that's an extra
Oh
$10,
my God. Oh,
but they're so good.
they are delicious. So,
They are
yes.
delicious.
My treat
Yeah.
though. It'll be my treat.
All right. All right.
My friend, love you,
This
brother. Be
time. This
well.
time. All right, man. Take care. And
Take care
thanks
of
again. I
yourself.
appreciate it, man. Okay. You too. Bye bye.
Bye. That was Rick Worthy, Kytano, and Imhotep in Stargate SG-1. Um, there are some people that you just pinch yourself that you get to know and to get to occasionally communicate with, and he is definitely one of them. My name is David Reed. You're watching the Stargate Oral History Project. If you enjoy Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, consider clicking that like button. It does make a difference with the show and will continue to help us grow along with this new Stargate that's in development. Please also consider sharing the video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. And if you click the bell icon, it'll notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. And clips from this episode will be released. Actually, one will probably already have been released by the time you see this on the Dial the Gate YouTube channel. I have tremendous thanks, as I said in the interview, for my Patreon members, all of you who came out of the woodwork a few weeks ago to start supporting me in this endeavor. And just like Rick said, you have to have the courage to ask for help. If that's you out there, and you know that you need to do that with someone or a group of people, I present to you this list that is proof that sometimes your prayers are answered if you voice them aloud. Yeah, it's a pill. It can be, but thank you guys so much. We have a number of episodes heading your way. I'm not going to rattle off the list right now because their order or content may change, but go to dialthegate.com for the complete guest schedule while I'm away. We may be doing some content while I'm gone. We'll have to see what my infrastructure is. But it is a Stargate-related trip, and it is in France. The EMG, Children of Macgyver 1-to-1 scale Stargate is going to be on display in France at Metz Tory on the 30th and 31st of May in Metz in France. And if you have a chance to be over there to experience it, it's gonna be something special, duplicated down to the errors in production. And I know it's not possible that the Stargate had errors. It did have errors, a couple of them, and they built them into this thing. And hopefully, I'm going to be able to tell you exactly what they are here really soon, because it is an artisan replica. And so, hoping to show it off a little bit more to you guys once it's on its end, so to speak. That's what I've got for you. Thanks again for all your support. Thanks to my production team, my moderators, even though they're off this one. Thank you so much, guys. Frederick Marcoux at Concepts Web. He keeps dialthegate.com up and running. Eagle SG for his beautiful opening sequences. Ian for all of his web work. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the other side real soon.